For some families, the answer is to leave everything behind and just flee abroad, even living on the run. An investigation by this programme has uncovered networks of sympathisers who are providing advice, shelter and sometimes money to help these families flee the country, taking their children with them. Our social affairs editor, Jackie Long, reports.
We are in the middle of packing because the social services caught up with us.
They are families turned fugitives.
Time's up, come on, we need to get dressed so we can go.
Running from the authorities.
I just grabbed hold of him, just ran and ran and ran.
Taking desperate measures to keep the children social services want to take away.
If it gets back to the UK social services, all hell will break loose.
We were punished for something that we hadn't done.
This baby is just 10 weeks old, but has been on the run her whole life. She's not alone. We've discovered across Europe there are scores of British children living as fugitives. In all the cases we've seen, the issue is not of physical harm, but of potential emotional abuse or neglect. A serious charge, and one the parents say is almost impossible to fight, so they choose instead to flee. There have always been parents who fled the country with their children to escape social services, but what's new are the networks of people actually helping them to flee in increasing numbers. But is it ever in the best interest of the children, or is it potentially putting them at risk?
Bullshit.
I'm a social worker. How are you? What's your name?
This footage was filmed by a British mother in hiding in the Republic of Ireland.
Don't be nervous now.
She fled there with her 4 children to escape the involvement of social services. But now the Irish authorities have caught up with them.
We'll be in contact with the case council. It will happen.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Once the social worker leaves, Liz, not her real name, decides it's time to move on again.
We are in the middle of packing.
There are no current proceedings against her, but she's convinced they will try to take the children.
Yep.
Guys, you've got 10 minutes. Come on.
They squeeze into the family car and race off, not sure where to.
Kids are aboard. And believe it or not, I really question whether we've done the right thing. But I couldn't stand and wait.
That family is not unique, and Ireland seems to be the first port of call for many of these families who are fighting to keep their children. We've come to County Cavan, just south of the Irish border. We've been told that in the past 6 months alone, 7 families on the run from social services in England have passed through here. Sharon, we can't use her real name, arrived in Ireland after fleeing the UK with just days to go before the birth of her baby. Helping her every step of the way was Jenny, an active member of one of the networks. Another parent calls up on the internet for help.
Is there any orders on the kids? No.
But this goes way beyond online chat. Jenny, who's had her own children taken away and placed for adoption, agreed to tell us more.
So in the groups there's probably just over 1,000 members at least. We can give them advice on where's safe, how the laws work in different countries, helping them planning their route.
We cannot verify her claims, but Jenny says the stream of families coming through is constant.
Anything between 300 to 600 families in the past year that have left from the involvement of social care.
Breakfast at a house a few miles away, an everyday family scene with an extraordinary history. This woman, we'll call her Mandy, kidnapped her own son while he was in foster care.
I grabbed his shoes and his coat, but I didn't even put them on. I just grabbed hold of him and just ran and ran and ran.
She planned it meticulously. With false identities and an untraceable car, she seized her moment.
I knew I had to get him and get to the boat straight away. There couldn't be any time elapsed, so I knew that if I got caught, that I would be probably done for kidnap.
Mandy actually put her son into care voluntarily after suffering a breakdown. But after struggling to win him back, she said she had no choice but to run. There will be a lot of people who are horrified, who say on the pure basis that you snatched your child away from foster care, that you're not fit to be a mother.
Social services have been involved and are still involved with me. They didn't just let me keep him, you know, they're not idiots over here, they do act, but it's the way they act that it's completely different. So they took him, they completed their own assessments, and decided what was in my son's best interest.
And in the end, Irish Social Services decided Mandy, who's since had another baby, can keep both her children. Our investigation discovered a series of informal networks spread across Europe. And in Monaco, at the heart of it all, is this man. This 80-year-old businessman has helped Mandy and hundreds like her to escape the authorities. Here, another plea for help.
Think about it, and I say your safest bet is North Cyprus. You're 100% safe there, okay?
Ian Josephs is not a lawyer nor a social worker, but he has money, and with that, the power to change the lives of vulnerable families.
I'm no Bill Gates, but I do pay for pregnant women to escape the country. I get 2 or 3 new calls every single day, practically. That doesn't sound too many, but if you multiply it by 365, it comes to quite a lot. I tell people, escape while you have time.
An unshakable belief that British social services routinely make the wrong decisions leave him confident he's always helping the right people.
I can understand your main concern being, am I meddling in things that I shouldn't and that I know nothing about, sitting in Monaco, helping people in the UK? Well, you know, if you help people, in my mind, you're not meddling, you really aren't. I feel the social services in Ireland, France, Spain, Italy are much more humane and will deal with the mother in a proper way and won't take her baby for past sins or spurious reasons.
But what if the mothers he helps refuse to engage with the social services in any country? This is the family we met fleeing Ireland. Ian Josephs helped pay when they first left the UK. Now Liz, her husband and the 4 children are on the run again, this time to southern Europe.
We slept in the car last night and we slept in a tent the 2 nights before that.
Though she insists they've done nothing wrong, she says they won't stop running.
We're going to have to keep moving. So we really don't have an option. We would like to stay in one place, but we have to be careful.
As one family's journey begins, many others have already settled abroad. Travelling down into southern Europe, we met up with Julie and Andy, again, not their real names.
We had our baby taken at 4 days old. We didn't hurt her to have her taken.
Julie had suffered from severe depression, and social services assessed she was in danger of emotionally neglecting or abusing her unborn child.
They just pressed the nuclear button, didn't they, straight off? We recognise the child protection system is important, but you can be convicted on the potentiality of causing harm or neglect.
So like many of the parents we met, they argue they were not given a fair hearing by a system too quick to remove children. And this woman, a leading expert in child welfare and a social worker for 30 years, agrees there is a problem.
Well, it's clearly saying that there's something very wrong with the system. If the only option people have is to run, then there has to be something that needs to be looked at. It's the system that needs to change, not just one person or one professional body within it.
But she's in no doubt that it's the children who are potentially being put at risk.
The problem is that within that there are probably going to be some very vulnerable children, and how can we know that they're getting the right help? It's really very worrying.
Our journey through Europe investigating these networks brought us back to London to meet a perhaps surprising figure providing advice and assistance to families who fled the country, MP John Hemming.
The underlying problem is you really can't rely on getting a fair trial. And if you can't get a fair trial, the only way of protecting the family is to actually go abroad.
But you're not talking just about support, for example, to fight a court case here. You are talking about support, which in many cases leads to them fleeing.
Well, it isn't, because we don't provide support for somebody to go abroad. What we will do is we'll pay the travel costs of a supporter to go and look after somebody. So if you've got a pregnant woman wandering around the streets of Waterford alone, we might make sure there's somebody with her.
But you are still assisting someone who's fled social service?
We are assisting people who've fled an unjust and improper judicial process, yes.
But is that right for an MP to be doing?
Well, that's a matter for people to decide. The question is whether the system is working properly or not.
In such complex cases, we can't know the rights or wrongs. But while parents feel fleeing is the only option, at best, the children involved face a life permanently on the run, or at worst, a life with little or no protection.
Jackie Long with that exclusive report. Now, hundreds more farmers are expected